Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream and your daily Chelsea news update. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Appreciate it's been a little while since we've streamed. There's not been much going on over the international break, but suddenly over the last day or so, there's been a bit of an explosion of news in regards to the Chelsea ownership situation. And there's been a big article from The Athletic today laying everything out. Boehly and Eghbali are said to barely be on speaking terms. Boehly's side are hoping there's going to be a resolution to the situation within the next 2 months. And the Athletic have gone into all the details of why the pair have fallen out, what it means for Chelsea, what might happen, all the outcomes. We're going to dive into that, whether we're Team Boehly, Team Eghbali, all this sort of thing. We also had John Obi Mikel. He's been speaking again, the guy that loves to chat. He's shared his thoughts on the Victor Osimhen transfer saga. He claimed that it was very close to happening, but they ran out of time and Osimhen's not greedy and this and that the Blues could revisit a move for him in January. So we'll dive into those comments. David Fofana is potentially going to AEK Athens in other news, which is not that significant, but just thought I would touch on it anyway. So yeah, we're back, people. We are back. New week. Yes, there's another round of international matches to go still, but we are now in game week. Chelsea do play football this week, and we can start getting back to the streams, getting back to chatting about the football, because I don't know about you people, but I've found it's been pretty boring. You know, this international break, after you've had a transfer window, after you've had, first few games of the season, there seems to be very little going on. But yeah, anyway, big up to everyone that's locked in. Smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, all of that good stuff. We're on the road to 12,000 subscribers. Let's say hello to a few people in the chat, and then we will dive into proceedings. Do you think this will affect the players and performance on the pitch? No, hopefully not. It shouldn't do, but it's certainly a distraction that we could do without, because now all Enzo Maresca is going to be asked about in press conferences is this ownership situation. Yes, big up, brother, big up. Yeah, it's not a lie. It's not a lie. They can't sell the club for 10 years. This is not a selling of the club. This is a exchanging of shares, as it were. The ownership is not changing. It just means that one investor is no longer going to be potentially on board. The ownership's not changing. Clear Lake Capital are not selling the football club. It's still going to be the same. It's still going to be the same people in charge. It's just obviously an exchanging of shares. It's not a club sale. Nice to see Osimhen choosing the love of football over Sadio Mane. So at the end of the day, Tony only had one offer on the table. There was no other offers from him. So, fair enough as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, disappointing, but that was his only serious offer on the table. I feel like we've got too many people making decisions at Chelsea. I agree on that. Yes, big up, brother. Like waiting for yeah. Sorry. I'm here. Forgive me. Yes. No. AEK Athens in Greece. These owners are the laughingstock of the football world. Get them out. Agreed. I'd love to see Boehly take full control. I would as well, and we're going to dive into this, but I would certainly like to see that as well. Yes, big up, brother. I hope Boehly buys them out. He takes the flak. Yeah, no, he absolutely does. He absolutely does. Unfortunately for Boehly, the fact that his name was used as the face of the consortium has massively gone against him. And you can always tell someone's level of understanding of the situation of what's going on at Chelsea if they blame Todd Boehly for everything that's going on. That's all you need to know about someone's level of intelligence in regards to matters going on at Chelsea. If they say, oh, it's all Todd Boehly's fault, Todd Boehly this, Todd Boehly that, when the geezer's not been involved in the day-to-day running of the football club for well over a year now. Mikel is waffling. It certainly feels like that. He's trying to do some damage limitation there. Yeah, bro, it's par for the course. We seem to be outdoing ourselves every step of the way. Yes, big up, brother. Look, at the end of the day, I would prefer Todd Boehly. 100%, I prefer Todd Boehly. But ultimately, whoever it is, I just want an ownership and people that are on board and are all pulling in the same direction, whatever the idea is. Yeah, for sure. I saw a report saying that one of the two actually wanted to keep Poch. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, Pochettino was, I think he wanted to, Boehly certainly was of the opinion that would have been worth keeping Pochettino for at least another season, but ultimately he didn't veto the decision to get rid of him. He still obviously gave his approval and signed off on that decision. But yeah, he was of the opinion that, needed some stability in the coaching position. You can't really necessarily argue with that. But let's dive into this, people, because it's a big talking point. It's got everyone talking, not just Chelsea fans. So let's start with it then. So there's been a big piece in The Athletic, and let's start here. This is The Athletic stating that there are there's broad agreement that three factors in particular have contributed to the fracturing of Chelsea's owners. A fundamental cultural difference in how the Premier League club should operate, with Clearlake and Boehly each believing the other has sought to unduly influence sporting decisions. The decision to mutually part ways with Mauricio Pochettino at the end of last season, which exposed the first public fault lines between Boehly and the club's leadership structure, a lack of tangible progress in the stadium project over the last 2 years, with the club not yet resolved on a revamp or rebuild of Stamford Bridge or moving to a nearby site at Earl's Court. So those are said to be the three main reasons as to why they're falling out. Now, I can understand on the stadium front. I mean, early days, Boehly was very keen to get the ball rolling on this. It very much feels now we're into the third year of this ownership now, and there's been literally seemingly zero progress on a new stadium. Yes, we've bought that Stoll site near the ground, but there's been no update, no tangible progress on a new stadium, which is absolutely really frustrating. Boehly was very much keen to get the ball rolling on that one. Decision to part ways with Pochettino, I'm not sure. Look, I think it would have been beneficial to have potentially kept Pochettino for one more season. I do believe it could have been beneficial to do that. From a stability standpoint, we finished the season well. And there is certainly an argument to be made that we could have been better off sticking with him for one more season. I can certainly see that point of view, and I can understand why Boehly would be looking at it from that perspective. You only have to listen to what he said, I think, at a Qatar business summit, where he was talking about patience and sticking with the manager and whatnot. And then a few weeks later, he was gone. Now, as I said, yes, he did ultimately still give his go-ahead on that decision, but as is the way that the Chelsea ownership is structured, like everyone's got to give their sign off on a decision. And even if Boehly had said no, he probably still would have been outvoted on that situation. You can tell by the fact that when Pochettino mentioned him and Boehly had a dinner together before the sacking, that for me was a clear indication that Boehly, despite ultimately giving his sign off, wasn't keen on that decision being taken. I look at Boehly, and for me personally, I very much feel that his approach is better, in terms of he seems to be very much hands off. He seems to be with the Athletic stating that, and look, I think whether this is true or not, I guess we'll never really be privy to that information or no. But the Athletic article stating that Boehly's approach is to hire specialists and allow them to get on with their jobs, while Eghbali has taken a role considered by Boehly to be micromanaging. A source close to Boehly's side described Eghbali as being obsessed with player trading. Now, that sounds about right. That does sound about right. I can't lie. Eghbali prefers two sporting directors. Boehly just wants one. He wants a CEO. He's obviously on board with the recruitment policy, but he'd be more willing to bend, break the structure, bring in more established players. Do you remember, guys, when Boehly was in his interim sporting director role, we were linked with all sorts of madness: Neymar, Mbappe, Cristiano Ronaldo. There is an acceptance that Boehly whilst agreeing with the strategy in principle, would be prepared to make more of an exception. Whereas Eghbali seems very, very much set on this way and no deviation from the plan whatsoever. That's kind of how it appears to me right now. In terms of what else, you do get the feeling that Eghbali does like to micromanage everything. You know, he's always going in the dressing room. He's always overseeing things. He's always getting involved. It almost feels like he doesn't trust everyone. It's almost like he doesn't trust the people that are in the positions, that he almost feels that he's got to oversee everything and he's got to, make sure that everything is running smoothly. Whereas with Boehly, he seems to be very much of the approach that he get the people in place, allow them to do their job. And obviously, he will oversee to a degree, but he won't be micromanaging the situation like it feels Eghbali is doing. Like Boehly did want slot. I mean, I don't know how advanced it got or how serious it was, but the interest in slot was genuine. There was definitely interest from slot. It feels that way, He obviously doesn't go to the games as often as he used to. That's clear. He doesn't. But he reps the Chelsea merch, and I think he genuinely likes the club and loves the club and wants the club to do well. Whereas I think Eghbali is very much looks at it from a business perspective, and in my view, doesn't care as much about the fans. And plus, he's got no experience in sports teams. And yes, baseball is not football, but Boehly has got experience in running a sports team, which I feel is really, really important. I am team Todd. We don't need two sporting directors. No, we don't need two sporting directors. I agree on that. It would be far more likely for sure. Player trading for me, Fofana to AEK Athens. Of course. Do the shareholders get any saying on who they want? I've got absolutely no idea. I don't really know how it works. Obviously, everyone's got to sign off on major decisions, but I don't know how much of a say everyone has in each decision. But the main differences between the Eghbali and the Boehly approach appears, let me just bring it up now, from the article. It's been summed up here by Pice that Boehly wants a CEO of football rather than a sporting director. He wants them to make the decisions. He wants stability with coaches. He thinks plans of Stamford Bridge rebuild or new stadium should be faster. Does not think owners should be hands-on day-to-day. Agrees with the data, multi-club model and youth-led approach, but would make exceptions for older and proven players. Bro, this guy's ticking all the boxes. Eghbali clearly they want two sporting directors, not really fussed on that. Wants the directors to feed up to him or them. I don't think that's necessary. Must be involved in all football decisions. Absolutely no. Can be more ruthless on managers. I'm not sure on that one. Heavily data and youth-led. Again, it feels like there's an over-reliance from Eghbali on the youth side of things. So when you see these points laid out here, and this is what's been taken from the article, if you just saw those two lists on a bit of paper, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer as to which side is seemingly better. I don't understand how anyone can look at those two lists and come to the conclusion that an Eghbali Clearlake scenario is going to be better. It simply isn't. It simply is not. Boehly's it all makes sense. What Boehly is looking to do, and I would very much be on board with that. I would very much be on board with that because it makes sense. A CEO, one sporting director, they make the decisions. You get stability with coaches. We're not in the Roman era anymore. You need stability with coaches. We're still lacking that. The stadium situation has been an absolute farce. There's been seemingly zero progress on that. It should be faster. Something needs to be done about that. And ultimately, owners shouldn't be in the headlines. And yet this ownership is in the headlines constantly. They don't need to be hands-on. They don't need to be hands-on. They should be in the background doing their thing. They don't need to be in the headlines. It drives me mad when owners are in the headlines all the time. They don't need to be. They should just be in the background doing their thing. No, there's no tips to give. There's no tips to give. It's just people chatting about their opinions, isn't it? Just people chatting about their opinions. No, they can. They can sell their shares to one another. That's not an issue. You can't obviously sell to external people outside of the consortium already, but within the consortium, you can sell. You can buy each other out. That is not against the agreement. What else is coming in? I think Boehly really wanted. Well, I think the club really wanted Osimhen, but yeah, maybe Boehly was more on board with the Osimhen signing than not. I don't really know. At the end of the day, guys, we're 106 in the building. Big up to everyone that's locked in. Make sure you keep smashing that like button. We are on 44 likes. So please get this up to 100 likes as quickly as possible. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the chat as well about what you think about this, whether you're Boehly side, what you think of the whole situation in general. Keen to hear what you guys are thinking. At least Boehly got the players Tuchel wanted, although it didn't work out at the time. They were the players we needed with experience. Well, to be honest, I mean, look, you can't judge people that judge Boehly off that first window, which in hindsight was a shambles with the contracts given out with the players. Brother, what sources have you got? They can buy each other out. That is very much the case, and that is exactly what's going to happen. Someone is going to be buying each other out here because it seems like look, ultimately, yeah, I was pretty strong in my opinions on Osimhen, but Mikel's always going to stick up for his guy. So you've also got to take what he says with a slight pinch of salt, and I suspect that the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Would be my thoughts on that. So no, I won't be apologising to Osimhen. I won't be apologising to Osimhen at all. When do you think this will be sorted out? Well, the Athletic state that that people close to Boehly's side of the situation expect the picture to be much clearer within the next 2 months. So this is still quite a long way to go on this scenario. Hopefully by around Christmas time, we might have a more concrete situation with what's going on. Hopefully around then that might be the case. I don't see it getting to that. I really don't. But with us, you just never know. I don't know. I've got no idea. It would have been a club decision. I don't know. It would have been scouting, data driven, etc., etc. I don't know who personally signed off on it. There would have been an agreement, I imagine, from everyone involved at the club. I'm pretty sure they can't sell it either. What source? Yeah, for sure. Although it's going to be, it's a lot more difficult for Boehly because obviously Eghbali and Clearlake, I think, have got 62% of the club, whilst the other 30% is Boehly, Hans-Jörg Weiss, and this other geezer who I can't remember his name. So Boehly is going to have to raise significant funds in order to buy out Eghbali and Clearlake, who have 62% of the shares. So, I mean, a recent report in the Telegraph stated that Boehly believes that he can get that money together. Apparently, there's already investors that are willing to get on board and help him with that money, and he says that he can raise that $2.5 billion no problem to buy them out. So this is going to be very interesting. But unfortunately, due to him being a minor shareholder in comparison, Boehly very much, despite his ideas, despite his commitment to the club, despite wanting that control, he's on the back foot in this situation purely because he doesn't own a significant amount of shares in the football club, and that could prove to be problematic. Yep, absolutely spot on here, brother. If the shares are up for sale, anyone within the company can choose to buy them. And look, I agree. I think if there's a return on investment already, then Clearlake would perhaps be silly not to take it. They would be silly. Do you think the wrestler could be in trouble to keep his job? No, I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. This is going to affect the play. I don't think it's going to affect the performance. I mean, it's very much separate from the football side of things. But yeah, of course, the noise, excuse me, the noise is not going to be helpful. The noise isn't going to be helpful. If Clearlake really only want profit and he gives them this 2.4 billion, surely they will accept. I don't know, because everything that's coming out is saying that Eghbali and Clearlake are fully committed to the club and have got no intentions of selling their shares. Now, something's got to give here. Something's got to give along the way on this one. It has to. Something has to give along the way. And I don't know what that's going to be, but something's got to give, because this relationship seems beyond breaking point. It seems beyond repair. So I would be absolutely shocked if we had a situation where suddenly everything was patched up and everything's fine. I'd be shocked. Of course, with Chelsea, the soap opera it is, you can never rule that out. But I think we can safely say that is probably highly, highly unlikely. Didn't this happen with the Cronkies and another person who owned a stake in Arsenal? Bro, I'll be honest, I don't know. I'm not really across the Arsenal ownership scenario or have been at all in the past either. I don't know. It could have done, but I'll be real, I've got no idea. There's too much speculation and biased opinions for us as fans to truly decide who would be the better owner. Yeah, I think for sure, there's definitely a lot of speculation. There's going to be some biased opinions. But look, I think we've had the most detailed breakdown from The Athletic on the situation right now. And if what they're saying is definitely reliable, then when you see the points that are taken here of how Boehly wants to work and how Eghbali/Clearlake want to work, then for me, there's only one logical solution here as fans as to what we should want. But again, the reality is very different. It's very hard as a minority to win over against the majority. It's very, very difficult to do that. But it's not unheard of and it's not impossible. It's definitely not impossible, but it's going to require Eghbali and Clearlake to have a massive change of heart and decide that they want out and that they're happy to get a return on their investment and kind of move on. I don't think anyone wants this to be a failure on either side, and they won't want to be leaving the process after just over 2 years together. That's the problem here. Yeah, of course he will. Of course he will. Fans must demand the clarity from Clearlake on the future of the club only when Chelsea is stable. Yeah, we need stability both on and off the pitch, and we simply haven't had it in either of those places. In either of those places. If they have an offer on the table from Boehly, then Eghbali needs to table it to his investors. They'll have to vote on it. Yeah, I don't see them selling either. But guys, something's got to give here. Something has to give here. We're not going to carry on at loggerheads like this. Someone is going to be bought out because this relationship is beyond repair. It's end of the road for these man. These man are not going to get on anymore in a business capacity. That working relationship is finitoed. Can't wait for Ratcliffe to have his sort of beef with the Glazers. Yeah. They can't sue him. they can't sue him at all. This is not breaking an agreement. People can sell their shares. That's not against there. So Jim is not good either way. I don't care about Sir Jim. Fuck him. Just want Chelsea to get back where we belong. Yep, agreed. Best take is these guys make up, not divided. They had an agreement saying they will take turns on running the club when Todd was in total control. Clearly, didn't interfere. Yeah, look, I mean, the best solution probably would be for them to try and make up. But then how do you know that they're not going to fall out again somewhere down the line? That's the issue here. Is that, yeah, okay, you could make up, but really things are never quite going to be the same again. And you know, at some point down the line, things are probably going to deteriorate again. And that's not what you want. That absolutely isn't what you want. Yes, big up, brother. It was bound to happen. The sale of the club was so sudden that time. Consortiums had to rush to put a deal together. Yeah, it was rushed through, obviously, because of the UK government. You know, it had to be done very quickly. Personally, as a fan, I don't trust either of them. I would love if someone's serious. I'll be honest, bro. I actually think that Boehly is legit. I think he's a serious guy. I think he cares about Chelsea. I think he likes the club. I think he wants what's best for the fans. I think he generally cares about having a competitive team. You know, I've been lucky to meet him on a number of occasions, and he's always been very courteous, very good with the fans. Eghbali's got a different aura around him. I've met him on several occasions, and it's very much like, well, you can't go near him, this and that and whatnot. Doesn't seem to have that same sort of relationship with the fans. I don't get the same vibe off Eghbali as I do from Todd Boehly. But that's just my opinion. But I think a lot of people might share that. And I think Boehly is genuinely legit about taking Chelsea back to the top. He's got that experience with sports teams, and you know, yes, it's a different sport and different way of working. But the Dodgers have been mega successful in baseball, and a lot of what he's doing is kind of similar to what has been done with the Dodgers. This needs to be resolved ASAP. Yeah, it does need to be resolved ASAP. Yeah, agreed. According to the Athletic article, Eghbali and Clinic have Class A shares, while Todd has Class B. Yeah, for sure. They don't have to be friends, just business partners. Yeah, sure, they don't have to be friends. I absolutely agree on that. They don't have to be friends. But still, I just think when you get to this point, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. You know, I just don't think the relationship is going to be the same anymore. Yeah, guys, come on, 162 in the building. Are we only on 60 likes? Come on, people. We're back. 161 in the building. We're on 61 likes. Guys, what's going on here? Get this up to 100 likes as quickly as possible. And please keep smashing that subscribe button as well, guys. It's free. It takes seconds to do. And it really, really helps me out. So, guys, get smashing that like button. Get this to 100 likes. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with Clear Lake and we're going to be fucked. So get this to 100 likes and let's back our man, Todd Boehly. Let's get it done, people. Run up those likes and keep subscribing. Boris Johnson is in a corner laughing. Yeah, fuck him. Bro, I don't... Me meeting them has got nothing to do with me defending them over certain things. I've been very critical of the ownership, as people know, and I've also praised them for things that they've done right. So, like me meeting them has got nothing to do with my opinion of them whatsoever. Yep, also agree on this. If you meet Todd again, can you say to him we need? I mean, I think he knows that. It doesn't need me to tell him that. But yeah, anyway, guys, let's dive into this article. I just wanted to go through a few other bits and pieces on this front, because there are some very interesting things in there. Yes, it is very, very detailed. I won't go through the whole thing because it's quite lengthy. But actually, let's bring it up on screen. Isn't it ironic that a lot of the same fans that wanted Poch out are suddenly Team Boehly? Yeah, it's bro. There's always a sense of irony amongst football fans. You know, a lot of fans are prepared to flip flop from day to day with whatever view suits their thoughts. That's how it works ultimately. You know, I will always stick with what my beliefs are unless new evidence occurs that proves me otherwise, or I'm proven wrong. I'm not going to flip flop between viewpoints. So I'm not about that. But let's bring this article up on the screen then. Let's bring it up on the screen. Right. So the biggest story yet, rumblings of discontent have been audible behind the scenes for some time, with specific accusations of a breakdown in relations between Boehly and Clearlake co-founder Eghbali, the most visible and actively engaged member of Chelsea's ownership consortium, were always denied until now. We've done those. We can reveal that a meeting took place last month when the pair decided to explore their options. Boehly and Associates have received approaches from investors in recent weeks with a view to buying out Clearlake, while Clearlake has aspirations to buy out Boehly. To tell the full story of how and why things have reached this point, what happens next, and how it could impact Chelsea, Athletic has spoken to individuals on both sides, as well as those who have observed the breakdown of relations. Yeah, we know that. Boehly has been the name most often cited in headlines criticising Chelsea's transfer policy and the face of online memes mocking the club for outspending their rivals while labouring in the middle of the table. However, he has not led recruitment at Stamford Bridge since January 2023. Now, this is something that is really important, guys, that people don't understand. Boehly has not been involved in recruitment since the January window of 2023, and he has very much taken a back seat from the day-to-day activities at the club for well over a year now. Yet people still criticise him, and yet people still use his names in headlines when trying to stick the boot in on Chelsea. I personally don't get it. Doesn't make sense to me. But again, it's just a lack of people, a lack of education, a lack of understanding from people who should really know better and should do better research. Basically, that's the reality for me on that one. Is that if you're going to speak about Chelsea in a negative way, at least use the right person. Don't get the people wrong. It's not led and signaled that it will take a step back from day-to-day responsibilities. That move coincided with the introduction of a new sporting leadership team at Chelsea at the start of February 23, with Winstanley and Stewart confirmed as co-sporting directors. And the winter window of the 22-23 season signaled a significant shift in the club's recruitment strategy. Yet we know that. Boehly stepped back. Eghbali remained very active on the sporting side in that January window, flying to Turkey with Winstanley to pitch Ukrainian club Shakhtar Donetsk on a deal to sign Mikhailo Mudryk. The two men also led negotiations that resulted in Chelsea paying a British record for Enzo Fernandez. Winstanley and Stewart continue to work closely with Eghbali, who's more engaged in day-to-day operations at Stamford Bridge and the Cobham training ground than any other member of the ownership group. Because he owns 61.5% of the club's shares, and he can be considered the most powerful figure at Chelsea. Now, I'll be honest, if you ever see Eghbali or meet him or whatever, the guy's got aura. He almost strikes fear into you. He's got that sort of gangster vibe about him. He's the sort of guy that you wouldn't want to bump into down an alleyway. He's that kind of guy. You wouldn't want to bump into him down an alley. You absolutely wouldn't. Guys, by the way, keep smashing that like button as well, people. We're now 73 likes. We're still 136 in the building. Plenty of people tuned in. Let's get this over 100 likes as quickly as possible. It's free. Takes seconds to do, and I would very much appreciate it. So run it up, guys. Help me out. So we've got that there. Boehly's approach. So anyway, this dynamic speaks to what in Boehly's view is the major continuing tension with Clearlake, a cultural approach over how the co-owners operate. Boehly's approach, as evidenced by his work with the LA Dodgers, is to hire specialists and allow them to get on with their jobs. Wow, imagine that. How, bloody hell, how innovative. Talk about breaking the mold. Wow. Hiring specialists and allowing them to get on with their jobs. Really, really, outside the box stuff here. Yet for Eghbali, that seems to be a massive fucking problem. A massive problem. Particularly Eghbali has taken a role considered by Boehly to be micromanaging, obsessed with player trading. I think we know that. One person familiar with Clearlake's thinking disputes this, insisting that Eghbali's level of engagement in Chelsea's recruitment serves only to support Winstanley and Stewart. I don't know about that, brother. In any case, all major decisions require sign-off. Yet we know that. This lack of open resistance, according to figures close to him, is due to a desire to pick his battles. Similarly, there were no Clearlake checks on any of the transfer business conducted during Boehly's ill-fated tenure as interim sporting director. Chelsea have since attempted to address many of the unsuccessful signings made in the window, swiftly selling on Koulibaly, Aubameyang and Sterling. Yet plenty of question the wisdom of subsidising a large part of Sterling's wages. Yet, okay. The first window, Pochettino was a very different case. In the second half of May, as speculation continued surrounding the Argentinian's future at Chelsea, with an end-of-season review conducted by Winstanley and Stewart looming, Boehly made public pronouncements at a Sportsco conference and Qatar economic forums that appeared to advocate for keeping him on as head coach. This is what I was referring to earlier, guys. The comments about, preaching patience. The number one thing is patience. And yet this football club, despite preaching it, have shown absolutely none of it. Absolutely zero patience, which shouldn't really come as a surprise, given how everything has, given how everything's been so far. Shouldn't be a surprise at all. Shouldn't be a surprise at all, guys. But what else is going on here? Let's skim through this. Yep. And they had the private dinner with Pochettino before the last game of the season against Bournemouth, and then obviously he was sacked. People familiar with Boehly's thinking say he wanted Chelsea to retain Pochettino, but he didn't formally veto when the final decision was reached. These sources add he considers Eghbali to be trigger happy and the driver of the call to move on. An accusation that is strenuously denied on Clearlake's side. I'll be real though. I actually think that's probably true. I think Eghbali probably is pretty trigger happy and the guy that probably makes the first call to make a change. I don't believe that to be untrue in any capacity. I fully think that Eghbali is probably the guy, the sort of the main driving force behind that. But I think a big problem is though, there's too many people having a say in decisions at a football club. Too many opinions, too many cooks in the kitchen, and there needs to be less people making the decisions and less people having a say in the decisions as well. A person familiar with Clearlake's thinking contends that it is Boehly who engaged in owner interference, attempted to put his thumb on the scale of Winstanley and Stewart's end-of-season review with words and actions that displayed public backing for Pochettino rather than allowing Chelsea's directors to complete their process and arrive at their own decision. Also, a belief on the Clearlake side that being overruled by Chelsea's sporting leadership on Pochettino was the tipping point for Boehly to begin exploring his options within the ownership structure. People familiar with Boehly's stance deny this and insist the broader cultural clash within Clearlake is driving his thinking. Several neutral sources briefed on the matter have echoed Boehly's view, suggesting the divide rests on the different aims and objectives of the ownership groups. On one hand, Boehly's investment is personal money, and he views his sporting investment as long-term, lifetime plays. Clearlake, as a fund, is managing money on behalf of investors. So I don't know if people knew that. I'm not really sure if I knew that either, but Boehly's investment into Chelsea is personal money. So obviously he's going to be far more invested in the club from a personal standpoint because he's put his own money into it, whereas Clearlake are obviously just managing other people's money. rather than their own personal money. So I think for me, Boehly's got a more vested personal interest in the football club, in my view. Boehly was just giving these guys any salary they wanted. Look, the first window wasn't great. There was no sporting structure in place, and a lot of mistakes were made. But that shouldn't be used to judge Boehly on what the ownership could potentially be like under him. That absolutely, under no circumstances, that shouldn't be used against him at all. But let's crack on with this before we move on. On one hand, Boehly's investment, this will inevitably lead to diverging interests at times, particularly since the club is entering its second successive season without the rewards of Champions League football. The question is why the parties did not see this tension coming when they came together to buy out Roman. Answer to that, according to people familiar, is that all parties were under time pressure to bring together a consortium to buy a club. That does kind of make sense. Whilst Clearlake and Boehly had done deals together, they had never operated a business together. A risk was taken and it has flatly backfired. So this really, ultimately, I suppose, all stems back to being in a rush to get this consortium together, to get this deal done, due to being put under pressure by the UK government. That's seemingly what all this is boiling back down to. That's what it's boiling back down to. So yeah, that's clearly where this stems from. And not working on a business together. You are obviously taking a gamble. No doubt about it. You are definitely taking a gamble on that front for sure. The tensions between Boehly and Eghbali tested Pochettino's patience during his tumultuous season as head coach, and the way he departed played out, exposed the fault lines among Chelsea's owners. On their arrival in 22, Boehly and Clearlake signalled that they expected to communicate a stadium plan by the end of that calendar year. And yeah, that obviously hasn't happened either. There's obviously a lot of information about the stadium, which obviously hasn't happened. There's been a change of people doing the stuff. Last year's tentative target for Chelsea to be playing in a new home by 2030 already looks optimistic. It does. During a meeting last month, Boehly and Eghbali agreed that he and Clearlake would explore possible buyout options. Yet, people familiar with Boehly's thinking on the matter believe there will be a clear indication of the direction of travel within the next 2 months. But what does that mean? Since the August meeting, figures familiar with the talks claim multiple parties have approached Boehly, indicating they are willing to take on Chelsea with him. Long-term investors, not people who expect short-term returns. Ideal candidates seen as passive financial backers. Those are the guys you want, silent partners. Clearlake's stance is that the future holds only two possible options, a continuation of the status quo or a buyout that would see them take full control. A person familiar with the firm's thinking insists that it has no need or desire to sell its majority stake and already has the funds to relieve Boehly and his fellow investors, Mark Walter and Hans-Jörg Weiss, of their shares. There is suspicion on the Clearlake side that this schism being played out in the public domain is actually a ploy to disguise the true motive of Boehly's camp, which they believe is an attempt to put pressure on them to make a bigger offer to purchase his stake. But Boehly's recent actions are not those of a man who appears to be losing interest. The billionaire keeps his distance more than before, but asks for updates on what is happening at Chelsea, with sources saying regular communication takes place with Winstanley and Stewart. He was obviously at Chelsea's game with City, and would have attended the game against Wolves, but it clashed with a personal engagement. Both sides have matching rights and veto powers regarding potential offers from outside investors. Clearlake can therefore credibly argue that all roads must go through its majority shareholder. But Boehly and others also have a measure of protection against any changes to the ownership structure that do not have their approval. It's also important to note that Chelsea shares, not all Chelsea shares are created equal. Clearlake got Class A, whilst Boehly is Class B. Yeah. So clearly Eghbali have set out their respective stalls, but posturing, neither party is going on the record to clearly state their intentions and reassure the club supporters. Nobody knows how or when this will end. What is clear, however, is that the public litigation of these grievances only deepens a sense of disorientating stability. Chelsea have failed to escape since the for sale sign went up outside Stamford Bridge more than 2 years ago. So yeah, basically, guys, you know, it's yeah, he obviously would have done. They obviously would have done, you know. If there was the time to do this, then Boehly would have got different investors on board. You know, that's kind of the situation that we are that we're looking at. You know, that would have been the difference, in my opinion. You know, this was kind of put together. This was put together in a rush, in the attempt that kind of this relationship would work. They'd done deals before, but never worked, you know, on a business together. And ultimately, you know, the cracks have appeared, and you know, it's all turning out to be a little bit of a disaster, to put things bluntly. It is turning out to be a little bit of a disaster. What are you not saying in the chat anyway? Boehly, Eghbali, Clearlake, they're all clueless clowns. Look, I think, but to be honest, I actually think Boehly is legit, and I think I think he's very good for Chelsea. What's your personal option? Look, if there was no objective, my personal opinion would be to get the Earls Court site, because you know there's space to build a great stadium there. You know, you're still traveling to the same place. You can still do the same pre-match routine. That would be my ideal situation. Plus, you could continue to stay at Stamford Bridge whilst that's being built. I think the situation was Boehly, Walter and Weiss were always interested in buying a PL club, but they needed the funds urgently. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, absolutely. That could potentially have been the situations. Fans want the right decision. Major stakes should be handoff. Boehly's stance is right on this. One director to make the recruiting. Youth only plays a part in the winning strategy. Yeah, I agree. If it was down to me, then you know the reins would be Todd Boehly's. But unfortunately, guys, it's not down to me. It's not down to the fans, and it's going to be decided by people a lot more powerful than us. Unfortunately. Should have took Battersea Power Station. Yeah, that was a long time ago, wasn't that? That was on the Roman, wasn't it? Where the Battersea Power Station situation was being explored. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was under Roman, wasn't it? That Battersea Power Station. Guys, we're 12 likes away from 100 likes. Come on, people. 143 in the building. We should easily be on 100 likes now. Come on, guys. What are we playing at here? Run it up. And people, we've added no new subscribers today. There must be a few people in here who aren't subscribed to the channel. So please smash that subscribe button. It's free. It takes seconds to do. Let's get this to 11.8K and help me on the road to the 12,000 subscriber mark. So if you're new around here, you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, join a community, join a channel, and let me know in the chat if you are a new subscriber, guys. But yeah, please do run the likes up and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Boehly wanted big names, world-class talent. Yeah, to a degree, he was more prepared to make exceptions for established, proven players. I was with Eghbali a few days back, but the more I read it, the more I think Boehly can take us to the level we once were. I'll be honest, in my opinion, with everything we've seen so far, I believe that Chelsea's best opportunity to get back to the top would be with Todd Boehly. That would be my thoughts. Did you watch the video clip where Poch doesn't shake hands with Eghbali? Shakes hands. No, but that I think a lot was made of that. And I don't think there was any big deal about it whatsoever. It was like the Carabao Cup final. Obviously, a lot was made of it, but I don't believe that was a big deal. Maybe Clearlake Capital thought that Chelsea was Brighton and invested in the wrong club. Eghbali was praising Brighton as well. And Brighton probably are the best run club in the Premier League, and arguably we are doing what Brighton kind of do, but just on a much larger scale. But yeah, that's basically kind of where we are at, guys, with the ownership situation. You know, both sides want to buy each other out. Boehly's way of doing things is seemingly a lot more preferable, you know, going forward. But you know, it's for me anyway. It seems that the Boehly way of doing things is much better. That would be my thoughts. That would be my thoughts on it. But ultimately, I think we're a long way away from anything that is going to be before any sort of solution is going to be reached. And look, we've just got to hope that this is not going to be too much of a distraction from matters on the pitch, which are ultimately the really important thing. Do you think this situation is going to... It shouldn't do, but there's always a danger that, you know, it could have an impact. And sometimes it is difficult to keep you know, external noise out. You know, it is difficult at times. That you know, we have to accept this, guys. It is difficult at times to keep external noise out. It really is. Fans expect trophies and owners expect profits. I think it should be a balanced approach. Business-wise, maybe they are, but definitely not a footballing side. Didn't Boehly buy the club before? No, because they were a consortium, so it was all done. It was all done together. Yeah, Eghbali's definitely got more of the Roman side in him in terms of ruthlessness. Absolutely, he does. He's certainly got that part of Roman, but I think that's seemingly the only part that he has. But ultimately, I think what we need to know here, guys, is that this ownership situation is arguably a lot more complex than I think any of us ever thought it was. You know, there's so much detail, there's so much going on, there's so many moving parts, and ultimately, as fans, we're kind of just once again left in the lurch, seemingly. We're kind of just left in the lurch, and you know, there doesn't seem to be any update or any communication from the club at what potentially might happen. No communication from the ownership or anything like that. So yeah, it's one of those where unfortunately we're just gonna have to sit tight and see how this one unfolds and hope that it doesn't cause too much instability on the pitch, and hope that, you know, they can just reach a resolution that, you know, as quickly as possible, and the club can move forward, you know, in a stable situation, one way or the other. But it looks like we might have to wait a little while in order for that to happen. But that is very much the latest on the Chelsea ownership situation. Excuse me. Is that, in summary, Boehly and Eghbali agreed in a meeting last month that they're going to explore alternative ways forwards. Apparently, they're barely on speaking terms. They both want to buy each other out, and they both don't want to sell. And Boehly's side expect an outcome within the next 2 months. So there we go. That is basically the summary, a brief summary of where we are with that situation. in fairness, Boehly communicates with the fans more than anyone else does. I don't think that I don't think Eghbali's ever done any communication with the fans. I actually don't think he has. I mean, I could be wrong on that one, but I actually don't think Eghbali has done any communication whatsoever with fans at all. I don't think he has. But anyway, let's move away from one saga and let's go on to another one, because John Obi Mikel, who's always got a lot to say, has been speaking again, and he has been giving his views on the Victor Osimhen saga. And he has had a lot to say about his guy. Now, obviously, you know, we're going to have to take what he says with a slight pinch of salt, because this is his guy and he's obviously not going to speak badly about him. But there's also, undeniably, probably a lot of truth in what he is saying as well. So let's bring these quotes up. So to start with, Mikel said, we were very, very close to getting the deal done, but it was just slight issues, slight little problems that we just couldn't get over the line. I know what the club offered him. We got to finally go to a compromise. Both sides had to compromise. It was just some little things here and there, paperwork, medical, a few issues that we just couldn't get over the line. Then, in more detail, he has said, definitely there's no issues. I think if we have to pick this up again in January or next summer, we know where we are. And it's just a little detail that needs to be finalised and a deal will be done. So for me, club is in a very happy place with Victor, and Victor is in a very happy place with the club. And I want to make sure that I get him to the club. I'm not going to rest, because I know that, not just because he's my friend or he likes my younger brother or he's Nigeria. No, he is one of the best strikers in the world right now. You know what I mean? He's the African best player, and I know what he can bring to the club. So Mikel very much hinting that he is not going to be resting on his laurels, and he is going to keep driving this move, and he's not going to rest until it's done. But it's interesting that he says there's no issues, you know, between Chelsea and Osimhen. That, like, you know, if they were to pick this up again, there wouldn't be an awful lot to sort out. But it makes you think, if they got as close as Mikel's saying, then why couldn't they get this one over the line if they were so close, like he's saying? That for me doesn't add up. If you're that close, surely you just make the final little adjustments in order to get the deal done. I don't understand how we can reportedly be so close, yet we were so far away from. Yet we were seemingly so far away from the situation. That's a bit of a strange one for me. You know, you would have thought if we were that close, like he says, then we should have been able to get the deal done. No, or maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. But I would have thought that it would have been, you know, if we're that close, you would have got that done. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. And then Mikel also moves on to clear up a number of other things. Not that one. Let me just quickly find this, guys. So the truth needs to be told, because Victor has come under a lot of criticism about this, because people don't know the inside out of what happened. Victor really wanted to come to the club, and he had no compromise. And he had to compromise a lot to come to the middle, because we did reach an agreement in terms of the salary, in terms of what he wants. It was just a few minor details here and there that we just couldn't get over the line. So for me, hearing all that nonsense about Victor being greedy, a lot of people talking down about him, no, I think it's time, especially Nigerians, it's time that we support him. It's time that people around him, friends and Nigerian fans, whoever, get behind him and support him, because that's what he needs. So Mikel's saying that Chelsea did reach an agreement with Osimhen on salary. Yet we never heard from any journalists that an agreement was never reached on salary. So who's lying here? The club or Mikel? Because all the briefs that came out about the deal, all the reporting from every single journalist, Fabrizio, Ornstein, everyone, was that Chelsea made about 6 or 7 different personal terms offers and an agreement couldn't be reached. So is Mikel lying here then? Why is he the only one saying that an agreement on salary was reached when no one else has reported that? It's a strange one. DiMarzio said it as well, that no agreement had been reached. So yeah, for me on that one, it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? It doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Now, look, would I like Osimhen at Chelsea? I wouldn't say no to it, but I don't want to go through this whole saga all over again in January or next summer or whenever it might be. If we're still interested and we want to go back in for him, according to what Mikel's saying, and it's no secret, it's open secret that Mikel was involved in the deal, then this should be very easy. It should be very easy to pick up and get a deal done if that's what both parties want. So we are going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see kind of what does happen on that one. But look, ultimately for me, I don't want to go through all this again. Is Osimhen really worth all that fuss? I mean, in my opinion, I'd rather go out and get a Victor Gyökeres if I'm being excuse me, if I'm being totally real, guys. I'd rather go out and get Victor Gyökeres. The guy's got 15 GNA in 7 games for club and country this season. He's doing phenomenally well. And look, Mikel obviously loves the sound of his own voice. I think there is obviously a lot of truth in some of the stuff that he's saying, but you've also got to take it with a pinch of salt as well, because he's going to be heavily backing his guy. We know that's going to be the case. He's going to be heavily backing his guy. Yes, big up Shavindra. Guys, only 104 likes. Keep running it up, people. Keep running it up. This should be at least on 120. At least on 120. So let's try and get another 16 likes on the board. There's more than enough people in the building to get that done. So let's get it done, guys. Let's get it done. Run it up, run it up, run it up, people. And let me know your thoughts in the chat as well, guys. Should we be going back in for Osimhen in January? Because by the sounds of it, it's very close to a done deal. It was very close to a done deal, according to Mikel. So should we go back in and get Osimhen in January? In my opinion, I think we should be going for Victor Gyökeres personally. But we're going to have to wait and see what does happen on that front. That is what we're going to have to wait and see. I don't know what's going to happen, guys. But ultimately, for me, we need Victor. For me, we need Victor Gyökeres, not Victor Osimhen. But it's interesting to hear, obviously, Mikel's side of the situation. But as I said, people, if we were really that close, like he says, to getting a deal done, it makes it worse that we couldn't get it over the line because we were so close. That, in my opinion, would seemingly make it, an even worse situation that we couldn't agree the deal. I don't know why. I'm not sure why we didn't go for Gyökeres, but I also don't know why no one seemingly went for Gyökeres. No one went for Gyökeres. Maybe they thought it was a bit of a, maybe they thought it was a one-off. Maybe they thought it was a bit of a, was it a flash in the pan? But I actually think the guy's legit. He's the real, I think he's the real deal. And there's no way he's still at Sporting Lisbon at the end of next summer. This will be Gyökeres' last season with Sporting Lisbon. No doubts in my mind whatsoever. This will be his last season with Sporting. And then we'll see from there. But yeah, I would love to have him at Chelsea. Gyökeres' release clause is 100 million euros. It's about 85, 86 million pounds. In my opinion, we all have enough evidence. Not of them are not capable to run big football club properly in Sporting way. We'll see. The owner of them is the Portuguese De Laurentiis. Now, I'm pretty sure that's Rui Costa. This saga is now very timely. If there's no agreement made in January, then I'd rather someone else. I'd rather no one wears the 9 shirt, to be honest. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think Osimhen and Jackson would work better together. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. The only Victor we'll be getting is Victor Meldrew. Fair enough. I mean, look, I'll be happy with either of them, but I don't want to go for another whole month of will he, won't he with Osimhen. I don't want that bollocks. Just go and get me Victor Gyökeres. You know, he might be him. You know, the guy seems utterly ridiculous. The guy does seem utterly ridiculous, which is crazy. He really does. The fact he was playing Championship football a couple seasons ago is a madness when you see what he's doing right now at this football club, you know, at Sporting Lisbon, sorry. It's mad. Absolutely mad. The guy's different level, people. I'll be honest, the guy's different level. I wasn't fully convinced, but I am being sort of won over. Mikel is trying to protect Osimhen, but also doesn't want to speak badly of the owners. Yeah, you know, it's interesting how Mikel's gone from heavily criticising the club to now bigging up Win Stanley after having a conversation with him, and now speaking very positively about the club. It's almost like he's doing damage limitation, or he's trying to save face and protect his guy as well. I'm not fully buying this from Mikel. I think there are definitely elements of truth to what he's saying, but I think he's also doing an exercise in damage limitation, and he is also trying to protect the reputation of his guy. That's what he's looking to do. He wants to protect the reputation of his guy. And look, you can understand that and you can appreciate that, but I think we got to call it what it is. He is looking to protect the reputation of his guy. It's as simple as that, in my view. As simple as that. Mikel's sitting on the fence. Yeah. Yeah, guys, keep running it up. Keep running it up. We're almost at that 120 likes target. Would be fantastic to get there. So let's make sure that we do. Let's make sure that we do. 5 more likes. Run it up, and keep subscribing to the channel as well. If you are new around here, it would be greatly appreciated. Mikel looks like a clown because he tried to convince Osimhen but didn't anticipate the clowns offering tuppence. I mean, I don't know what Chelsea offered. You know, I don't know what they offered, but clearly there wasn't an agreement reached. It wasn't an offer that was acceptable to Osimhen. And yeah, Mikel sort of does look a little bit stupid having bigged this guy up, saying he was definitely going to come and whatnot, and it ended up not happening. So yeah, look, it doesn't suit. Look, there's no winners from the situation. Osimhen's going to go and play in Turkey for 4 months. And maybe we revisit this in January, but I just personally, in my view, feel it's done. I feel it's done, and we need to move on to get different targets. That would be my view on the situation. Let's move on to different targets, guys. That is what we should be doing. But what else have we got going on? Mikel is free to change his opinion about Chelsea owners, unlike you that doesn't see anything good with them. I never said that there was nothing good with them. I'm not sure where you've got that from, but I've never said there's nothing good with them. They offered him less than... I don't think that's true, but I refuse to believe that Damartio report. There is no way Chelsea offered him less than half of his salary. No, absolutely no chance. No chance at all. Vince McMahon settings on that one. No way. I just refuse to believe that. Do you think we'll get a striker or signing someone on a pre... we will get a striker. Whether it's January, I'm not sure. I think we could agree a deal in January for someone to come in the summer, potentially. I think that could be a likely outcome, maybe. Yeah, really like Joao Pedro. He's going to be the next Brighton player that's going to move to, you know, a kind of a top six club. He's going to be the next one off the rank, as it were. He absolutely will be. Leave Osimhen now. He won't come and we won't pay. Get someone else or a keeper like Kelleher. Oh, we're not going to get Kelleher from Liverpool, but yeah, Osimhen. I don't know. It feels like the chapter's not closed, but as far as I'm concerned, it should very much be closed, in my view. It should very much be closed. Close that chapter. Do you think we do a pre-agreement with Gyökeres? I can't see it. It's a release clause. I don't know see how you would get a pre-agreement. But yeah, that obviously Mikel's been speaking ownership scenarios. Cole Palmer's back in training now with Chelsea at Cobham. That's good news, having pulled out of the England squad. That is good news. Jadon Sancho's training, Wesley Fofana's training. Those are positive updates ahead of the Bournemouth game. Hopefully, Romeo Lavia might be fit. There's no news on Malagusto, no news on Reece James. New news anyway. Kelleher wants to leave for first team football. Sure, but is he a top keeper? I'll be honest. I think we could probably do better. In my opinion, I don't think he would join Chelsea. In my view, but again, I could be wrong. The club have done stranger things, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. We will have to wait and see on that one. What else have we got going on right now? Neto and Felix should be on their way back. They're not back yet. Boehly or Eghbali, it doesn't matter. Both have egg on their faces. Fair enough. Yes, big up my brother. He's on a new deal at City, though. I mean, I think he's a very good keeper for sure. He's worked with Alisson and Taffarel and Klopp. Dacho Fofana. Yeah, Dacho Fofana looks like he could be going to AEK Athens, although the Greek window closes on Wednesday, so Chelsea are in a bit of a rush if they're going to get that deal done and send Dacho Fofana on his way to Greece. And that probably highlights the obsessive player trading that Eghbali is reportedly a fan of. Yeah, bro, the Nations League is so dead. It is so shit. Honestly, couldn't care less about any of the matches. As long as no Chelsea players get injured, couldn't give a fuck. And yeah, just get Tuesday done, and let's get back to the proper stuff. Unless it's a major tournament, I've got zero interest in international football whatsoever, and it's basically just a major inconvenience. Major inconvenience. Would you start Neto for the next game? I don't know. Potentially. Oh, jeez. I hope not. Yeah, guys, keep running it up. Keep running it up. Let's get this to 120. We're almost there. I think Noni will play against Finland tomorrow night. That would be my view. I think Noni will play against Finland. But again, could be wrong. But I think he'd likely feature, given he didn't feature against Ireland at all. I'd be surprised if he didn't at least make his debut and get a few minutes. But guys, keep running those likes up and keep subscribing to the channel as well if you are new round here. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it, guys. So run it up. Where are Esteval and Paez going to fit into the squad next season? That is a very good question. Esteval's agent has said that Chelsea view him as a number 10. Obviously, he can play wide as well. I think Esteval will fit in either in a wide area or as a 10. I know reports have said that, he's not going to be loaned out and whatnot. I wouldn't be surprised if these men were loaned out. I'm not sure if they're going to go straight into the Chelsea first team. But there's a lot of, things that need to be cleared up. There needs to be space made in the squad and whatnot as well to find out where these guys are going to fit in. Because with 2 coming in my view, at least 1, maybe even 2, also need to leave. And I don't know which players that is going to be. What about Sancho? Would you start? No, Sancho's not going to start next weekend. This weekend, sorry. I expect he will make his debut against Bournemouth, but I'd be shocked if he was in the starting lineup. I don't envision him being in the starting 11. No. Potentially, although there's a lack of left backs in the squad, so maybe he's just going to continue there. There's every chance that he might just continue there as well. We will have to wait and see on that one. We will have to wait and see on that one. Has anyone else got any questions about anything? Then do let me know in the chat. Generation talent should not be loaned. No, just because it doesn't mean you're ready to go from the Brazilian league straight to the Premier League. If you can get a decent level of loan, then why not? It's better than just featuring as a bit of a bit part player to begin with, in my view. We do. That's a massive thing. We do need that. After a while, I think Sancho will be a starter for us. Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely the potential for that to be the case. No doubt about it, guys. There's a potential for Sancho to become a regular starter, but he needs to try and rediscover that Borussia Dortmund form, because if we're getting that Man United form from Sancho, then he absolutely doesn't deserve to be a starter. In my view, doesn't deserve to be a starter if that's the case. Do I think Maresca as new coach was right? Wasn't my choice. Would never have been in my thinking. But no, I think he can be good. I think he can be good, but he needs to be given the time to get it right, and the fans need to have patience with him. If it's going to work. I think there's a lot to like about him, and I think he's got something about him. But only time will tell if he's going to be the right choice. But yeah, if you were asking me at the time, should Enzo Maresca be Chelsea's manager? He wouldn't have even been in my train of thought. But that's the way things go at the moment. That is the way that things go at the moment. So there we are on that one. There we are on that one. What else is going on, guys? Make sure you keep subscribing to the channel. Make sure you keep smashing that like button as well, people. It's free, and I would very, very much appreciate it. Would really appreciate it, guys. So let's run it up. Only thing I will hold Maresca purely accountable is the Conference League. Yeah, I agree. If we don't win the Conference League, that's on Maresca. But anything else, is not on him at all. Not on him at all. And the criticism will be targeted at the relevant people. It's a good point. I mean, they're a slightly different profile of player, but I absolutely get your point. I like Dewsbury Hall as a player. But yeah, I'm a little bit confused about why we really signed him. If in all honesty, a little bit confused as to why we signed him, but there we go. We did, and let's hope that he does well for us. But I agree. It would have made more sense maybe just to have kept Andre Santos. But Chelsea don't do things that make sense a lot of the time. I don't want to be harsh on Kane, but he's been very deep for a striker. Wanted Santos to stay. but you kept Poch, or I probably would have kept Pochettino for one more season. Yeah, I'm not saying that Poch would have been the long-term answer, but I think there's every chance that we would have as good a season or better if Poch was still in charge. That's my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, I'll be there. I've got my ticket for the Ghent game, the first one in the group phase. I'll probably be at most of the home ones. Maybe we'll make the trip to Kazakhstan. Potentially, we're in conversations about that with the boys. Might do the Kazakhstan away. We're going to see on that one. But I'll be at the home ones. Can't wait to see our league position in December. That will tell us a lot. It absolutely will. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate the support as always. It is greatly appreciated, guys. Greatly, greatly appreciated. It doesn't go unnoticed. But guys, I am going to round this one out here. We have got through a lot in today's show. Big up to everyone that has joined in. It's greatly appreciated. Big up to everyone that has continued to support the channel over all this time. It is very much appreciated. Love for getting involved in the chat, guys. Yeah, plenty gone through today. The ownership scenario, obviously the Mikel's comments on Osimhen, and yeah, kind of just where we are as a club. So yeah, guys, love for the support. Appreciate each and every single one of you. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be live yet. Depends how much news we get, or I'll be back with an upload of some description. So stay tuned for the content tomorrow, guys. Love for the support. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Please do smash the likes on the way out. Please keep subscribing to the channel, guys. And I will catch you lot again tomorrow. Up the Chelsea, and peace out, guys.